Program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's Sunday fun day, and who better to get it started with than a cheeky troop of baboons in the sunrise. This is Safari Live. Good morning everybody, and welcome to our sunrise safari on a beautiful, clear, crisp morning. The wind has finally dropped, so it promises to be a wonderful start to the day. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Senzo, and, well, I suppose the theme of the morning will be to decode what played out last night with all of our leopards. We left them and they were all still in the same place, but we know that Tingana came down to the dam, thanks to all of you with your screenshots, and that tagged us and let us know, and that just shows you that it is live and interactive, which means hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat should you want to get hold of us or ask any questions. But as I was saying, the leopard drama, for those that missed it, Shongile and Tandi were embroiled in a battle of the females with Hosana, Tamba, and now, well, see, evidently Tingana arrived later in the day. We didn't see him there, but he must have been hanging around, given that he decided to show up at the dam at around midnight. So lots of leopards around that were all in the same area, and hopefully all will be okay, and we certainly will try. I know Taylor's headed straight to where we left them last night. I'm going to go and head down towards the dam, see if I can't find any sign of that leopard that was drinking around 5 o'clock, and then also just check around for any signs of Tingana. Interestingly enough, last night when we were on our way home, I had tracks for a young male walking through the camp, so I'm not sure which one of the young males that could have been and where he ended up, but there was a slight scuffle and a little bit of noise that was made at about 10:30, which is unfortunately around curfew time, so we can't go out and check. We couldn't go out and check what was going on, but there was a slight scuffle at around 10:30, so I'm hoping that's when Tingana arrived. Everybody then ran in different directions and that everybody's okay. That's what my hope is that him arriving on the scene was provided the perfect foil for the rest to start breaking apart and to then all go in their separate directions and be nice and safe. So this morning will be, like I say, just to try and decode where everybody went. I would imagine we might find leopard tracks of varying descriptions going in varying directions, which certainly will make things a little tough on trying to find all of them. But let's see, hopefully the two royal cubs decided to stay together and they moved towards south and into maybe Treehouse Dam or Twin Dams, where they might feel a lot safer. Right, but it's not just me out here. I mentioned that Taylor's gone to where I last had those leopards, so let's go across to her, because I believe she's already bashing through the thickets and getting her day started on a rather adventurous level.
We are indeed. Good morning everybody, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. Remember, this is live, this is interactive, it's happening right now. Hashtag Safari Live, and of course, well, you can chat to us on the YouTube chat too. Now, we've already seen a leopard. We saw a leopard for a whole of about 10 seconds and then it ran away. I don't know if it's because it chased after a daker or if it's because it was a little bit nervous of the vehicles. Couldn't quite work it out. And I don't know which leopard it was. It was too quick of a glimpse, but it's very difficult to navigate around here. So I'm going to see if I can try and find it again, but unfortunately this is not the nicest area to be driving in terms of all the Timboti trees that are around here. It makes for very difficult maneuvering. So like I said, I don't know who was here. We're just behind the lodges, so we'll have to try and figure out where exactly this cat is. So I think we might actually go back towards towards Gallagher Pan and have a quick look around there. Perhaps that leopard's on that way. But let's go back across to Tristan. He's just arrived at Vuyatela Dam.
Well, we've just got into the dam now, and I'm just driving very slowly because I'm trying to just see if I can't find any tracks. Exciting that Taylor at least had a glimpse of a leopard. It means that there is still one hanging around there. I wonder if maybe not all of them are still around that side, but nothing that I can see coming down towards Twin Dams at the moment. So I just want to quickly check behind the dam wall here, see if there isn't any sign of them going that way, but certainly no tracks going towards Twin Dams that I can pick up yet. We know Tingana went towards Central Side, and the chances of finding him if he's walked since midnight is probably not great at this stage, so I'm not going to focus too much on him. I'm just going to try to see who this leopard was that came south from the dam earlier. well, a few minutes, well, not a few minutes ago, about an hour ago now. So that's the one that we're going to try and focus on, because that should be easier to find than an individual that was here around midnight. So just checking all of this area, these trees. Want to check just behind the dam wall quickly, see if there isn't any sign on this side. If there's nothing here, then we're going to slowly meander our way down towards Twin Dams and see. But there is nothing behind the dam that I can see, certainly nothing at the dam. I'm sure that we'll have a situation that we will find tracks eventually. It's just a matter of time. There's little Franklin's making some noise. Now, like I was saying, I will head down towards Twin Dams eventually. Just want to see where these tracks take me and whether or not I can find any. It's difficult in this light to see tracks, and certainly we will spot some eventually. It's just about where exactly they are. Now, let's see here. This should give us Tingana's tracks, should be here somewhere, given that apparently headed towards Central. Where are your tracks, Tingana? There's hyena tracks going the opposite way. Okay, so no sign of Tingana coming out here either, which means that he must have walked in this drainage section. I'll just go forward a little bit further and just check. But interesting that his tracks haven't come out here either, and the leopard that went over the dam wall must have also gone into this area. So maybe the two are somewhere in the same vicinity, or they followed each other's track, but there certainly isn't anything on this side. Wonder. Maybe it's going to be worth doing Vulture's Nest down towards Twin Dam side. Let's check. But nothing that I can see. In fact, we can get rid of the spotlight now. It's light enough that I don't need it, so at least I can concentrate on being able to see tracks and varying other things. Just want to see here. Okay, I've got Tingana's tracks now. His tracks are walking straight along Central, which is what we thought would happen. But there's hyena tracks on top of it, given that it was midnight. I would imagine very much that he is long gone. But let's just follow them for a bit anyway. You never know. Maybe he's lay up somewhere and we'll get lucky. Trying to find a nice clear track so that I can show all of you what his tracks look like, given that they're quite large. But I think he's turned up this way. Yes, he has. There's a nice clear one that we can use. Now, if he's turned up Gari Cutline, the chances of us finding him are even more remote. But Senzo, I'm going to try and position you that you can see. There we go. So there's a nice track that's just trying to think, just go in a little bit for me, somewhere in that vicinity should be the best one. So there we go. You can see, maybe go up a little bit for me, Senzo. There we go. That's going to be a much clearer one. You can see his toes there, and then the three lobes coming off the back. So that's for Tingana's. Also, the size of that track can't be anybody else. It's a nice big male leopard track, and so definitely where he walked and has gone straight up Gari Cutline. So I'm going to check up Gari Cutline and just see where they go, but I would imagine that they are unfortunately going to cross out and in towards Buffels Hook. But let's try. The thing is with him is that we know he likes to walk a lot, and if he bumped into a whole bunch of other leopards, he maybe asserted himself, and now he's just on a territorial patrol, making sure nobody else is lurking in this end area. Let's check here quickly. This big jackalberry is always a worthwhile place to check when it comes to Tingana. I just want to let also Aubrey know, because he was asking for an update, and I think Taylor's busy tracking and doing her thing. Aubrey. Yeah, Aubrey, this tracks for Tingana goes north up Gari Cutline at the moment. I'm sure he's going to go into Buffels Hook. And then I think Taylor had a brief visual of an Ingwe somewhere around Gallagher Pan. But Josh, she's off her vehicle at the moment. I'm sure she'll give you an update just now. Alright. So let's just see if his tracks are still here. The thing about Tingana is you can turn off at any point and then it becomes difficult. You see now I've lost his tracks, which is not good. I wonder if he didn't go down into this drainage. Let's just carry on with this road a little bit longer and just see if he doesn't come back. But certainly his tracks have crossed off this road as far as I can see. I can't see any sign of his footprints anymore. I might just pull off a little bit to the left here. Let's see. No, nothing. So there's nothing in this area. I'm going to turn around and just go back to those last tracks. I can see an impala crossing the road in front of me, so probably no sign of Tingana there. And while I have a little look around, let's go back to Taylor and see what she's managed to find on her side and whether she's got any more luck with that leopard.
No, nothing more of that leopard. I think we're actually going to move out of the area. I'm almost certain that that leopard ran away from the cars. So I don't want to put too much pressure on a cat that doesn't feel comfortable with the vehicles. I think it could have been Tumba, and they're particularly relaxed, but after yesterday, all that commotion, that could have quite easily unnerved one of those young cats and might just be sort of a little bit cautious of everything that's going around it. So we can come back a little bit later. Tristan's also very close by, so he can come in and work this area. We'll go check the southern boundary and go have a look around there. Maybe we can see if we can pick up on a lion or two, but there doesn't seem to be too much going on. There are lots of hyena tracks around. They've been all around last night. They were making a huge racket and in camp for most of the night too. So yeah, I think let's let Tristan handle this area. It wouldn't surprise me if everybody just met up again. So we'll go and look for something else, and then hopefully between the two of us we'll come up with a cat. So once Tristan's done that side, if he doesn't come up with anything of Tingana's tracks, maybe he can just come back into that Tambuti thicket area in the drainage line behind Vuyatela camp and see if he can find that leopard again. Like I said, it's not often that we see leopards run from cars here, and it's not nice, especially if you've had a very scary experience with all the commotion from last night. Maybe they just need a little bit of a break. So we shall move on and out and go and look for something else. Maybe we do some birding again today. I really was enjoying the birding yesterday. It was quite fun. Cool, let's carry on. Let's see. I don't know where we're going to go from here. Maybe we'll go all the way down Buffelshoek towards Sydney's Dam. And then we'll check around the gate and then we'll go up Triple M and see if we pick up anything on that side. We'll see. Also, I don't know if the guests were out. I've been quite sneaky driving around over there, but I didn't see any people moving around, so maybe they are out and about already. It's getting light nice and quickly now, which definitely helps for trying to track animals. So that's quite good. It's not staying dark for very long. In the first 10-15 minutes of the sort of drive in the morning, and then it's perfect. I just wish it would warm up a little bit quicker. Whew, it's nippy today. Right, who's walking here? Hyena and guinea fowl. See if there's anyone sitting on Tambuti Dam wall. No, it doesn't look like it. Sometimes it's quite nice. As you come around the corner, normally there'll be a lion. Well, not normally, but often a lion or a leopard or thing sitting out there. Right, up we go. I'm trying to think where these cats would have gone, if Tundi would have hung around, or if they would have completely moved off. What's that? Logs. All these white logs that you can just start to see now after the grass has dropped in height. They look like lions sort of laying on their backs with that very white fur. But it wasn't a lion, otherwise we would be looking at it, of course. Let's see what... Nice day though. I think it's nice not to have any wind, and hopefully it stays calm like this. But we have been saying it's not unusual to have wind at this time of the year. It's actually quite normal. But let's hope we get a rest from that strong gusting wind, because that's not pleasant. I'm sure the animals will appreciate a break as well. Well, at least the herbivores. Maybe the lions not so much. It's, you know, it's good hunting weather from them. We know the sticks made a kill in that weather, so it obviously helps. You check all the trees as well. It's nice now that most of them don't have any leaves on them, because if there is a leopard sitting on a branch, you can actually spot them very, very easy, and from so far away too. Nice to see the silhouetted cat up on a tree. That would actually be very nice. Maybe we shall put that out there for the next week. But we'll keep driving, we'll keep doing a boundary patrol, and hopefully we'll come across some tracks that we can follow. Tristan seems to be hot on the heels of Tingana. Let's go see if he's managed to take the same route that he did.
Well, we just abandoned our search for Tingana for 2 seconds because we had baboons alarm calling right by the dam, and we just saw a baboon running just from the dam wall side northwards. So I'm trying to check here to see if I can't spot something that's behind the dam wall that potentially is moving around. Maybe a leopard is in here and has moved, and that's what's caused the baboons to panic a bit and run northwards. So I can't hear them shouting anymore, but the fact that there was one running away from this area maybe suggests that there is something lurking around here. So just wanted to quickly shoot this way while they were alarm calling, but now that they've stopped, it's going to be a little bit on the tougher side. But let's just check anyway. I'm just trying to scan all of these thickets just to try and see and listen out for any sign of maybe Franklin's alarm calling or birds alarm calling. Tingana's tracks definitely turn eastwards and go towards Hyena Road in that area. I wouldn't be surprised he eventually gets towards Buffalo's Hook side, but hyenas were certainly very active last night as well, by the looks of things, and footprints are everywhere. We came along Gari Katla, on Central, and there was no sort of sign or audio for any birds alarm calling or anything like that. Just want to turn off and listen again. It's a difficult area because of how dense and thick it is. Also, I know that the baboons were up near the lodge, and in those trees their sight is so good that they can spot leopards from very far away. So it could be that leopard that Taylor had a brief glimpse of around Galago Pan area. So we're going to have to try and see. Paula, you want to know if a fight between them is going to cause them to go into hiding or generally leave the area? Well, it's certainly going to cause the loser to leave the area. So whoever lost that fight is going to then move on and try and get out of there and try and find a new place and get out of the way of this territorial or the more dominant female. So in this case, I would imagine Shongile is going to move out slightly. I don't think she's going to go too far, but she certainly will move a little bit. There's a little scrub hare, which is nice to see. Actually, 2 scrub hares. Off they go, bounding away. Which generally don't see too much of them during the day. Let's see if I go back a bit, Senzo, might be better. Oh, no, wait. There we are. And you can see they've actually got quite an orangey pelt, particularly around the chest and leg area. And then those long, long legs. Big eyes to be able to see at night. And that's the difference between rabbits and hares, is hares are actually more active at night, and that they are not burrowers. So these guys will just rest on the ground under some trees where they can camouflage very well. They fold their ears down and just hunch up, and that helps to be able to stay nice and hidden. As you can see, still very alert. Snazzy, you say it's so big. Actually, they are quite big. You'll be surprised how large a hare is. When a leopard's got it in its mouth, you'll sometimes then give us a nice relative size point of view, or relative to the leopard, that is. And you'll find that they're actually quite big. So a lot of the female leopards hunt them quite extensively, just especially if they've got cubs. It's an easier thing to come across and they can hunt lots of them in a night, and if they get 2 or 3, it's more than enough to feed everybody. So you will find that they go after those quite a lot. There comes another one. I don't know why it's running. Oh, there's another 2. We've got a whole bunch, and off goes that one. I wonder if this is going to be another territorial scrap that we're going to have this morning. I don't know if my nerves can handle it, although I think the scrub hare fight would be far less sort of difficult to deal with than our leopard queens going at it. I think they've run off into the thickets. I can't see any sign of them, so we'll carry on. But so far, no tracks coming down Twin Dams Road, so I don't know really where else to check. I think those baboons might have been shouting for the leopard that Taylor saw. Exquisite Bliss, you're wondering how my nerves are this morning. Well, I don't know. I'm fine, I think. I suppose yesterday was a bit nervy, and I am slightly sort of nervous about the outcome of what happened, as to who went where, and to make sure that everybody's okay. While it's amazing to see sightings like that, you always sort of leave with a feeling of that you want to know what's happened and how everybody is. But like I say here, because of the curfews and the anti-poaching and all that kind of stuff, we can't really stay beyond 10 o'clock at night. So when the situation is all the same at that time and they're all sitting in the same places, we had to kind of leave and let it be. So like, you know, some of the guys tried to stay as long as possible, and they just said it was just a stalemate, really. Everybody was still in the same places, and we didn't hear too much. Like I said, 10, there sounded like a bit of a scuffle, but that could have been, you know, just the last little bit of it, and that was the end of it. So I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say exactly what happened, and hopefully everybody's okay. That's why the nerves are still a bit there. I think it's just to, once we see all of those leopards that were in that area. We know Tingana is absolutely fine because he walked away, and we're not really too concerned because of his size. He would have dominated any of those leopards there. But it's just little Shongile that we want to see, and Tundi, and make sure that neither of them ended up hurting themselves. Right, Taylor apparently is on boundary patrol. She's on the lookout for these tawny critters. So let's jump across to her and see how she's doing and whether or not she's had any sign of them.
It's actually been very, very quiet, I'm afraid, this morning. I thought we were going to arrive to an abundance of animals, especially because the weather has improved so much, but that does not seem to be the case just yet. Maybe it will get better as the day starts to warm up. There's a couple of male lion tracks, but they look exceptionally windblown, so I don't think that they're very fresh. I think that they're from the last couple of mornings. This is a typical route that the Birminghams do like to walk as well, marking territories down here, and they often cross into Djuma from Arathusa's Simbambili side. But like I said, nothing fresh enough to catch my attention just yet. Lots of impala tracks going up and down across the road, a couple of hippo footprints here and there too, which is well to be expected. The birds are just starting to give their calls now, sort of very soft, the sort of chatter. Actually, can you believe it? Soft chatter coming from the Natal Spurfiles and the Crested Franklins. But maybe what we'll do once we get to the Triple M Gari main boundaries, perhaps we'll jump onto Philemon's cut line and then take the new road and just check that new road that runs back towards Impala Plains again and see if there's anything around there. And if there's nothing, then maybe we'll come back on that or we'll go back towards the Balanites tree and then take Zoe's all the way back to Philemon's cut line again, and then jump off and do the whole of Gari Main up towards the Munwati. But there really isn't anything fresh. Like I said, it was noisy last night in terms of the hyena were making a huge racket, and then I heard lions roar once and I got quite excited because I thought, my goodness, normally when you start with one roar it ends up, you know, in a chorus. So I don't know where the Birmingham boys have been. Perhaps we'll get their tracks a little bit further south from where we are now. I don't know where they've been. And I think the sticks actually they finished their buffalo kill. I was speaking to a couple of the guides. I don't think it was a very big kill. It might have just been a young buffalo calf, or one from last year at least, that they took up. So they devoured it quite quickly. So the sticks could be on the cards again. We might even pop onto Chitwa at some point and head to the most southern corner of Chitwa and see if those sticks haven't come back this way. So that'll be nice. I'd actually, you know what, I always say this, I'd much rather see lions than leopards. I prefer them. Tristan is the leopard king. It would be nice to see some spots. So we did. We saw spots for about 10 seconds, like I said to you. No, I think it might have been Tumba. But it is difficult to tell the quick view that we had. Just because Tumba and Hosana are of such sort of equal size now. Didn't really get a good enough look at the eye color. I didn't see a notch at all on an ear, so I think it could have been young Tumba. It would also explain why he was maybe slightly hesitant. Maybe, you know, he's probably still in, and he might be the one that's causing those baboons to alarm. I couldn't see where he ran. I even jumped off of the car to try and have a little look, but it wasn't really me pursuing him, because the area that I thought that he'd ran into, there's lots of tamboti trees, so I don't want to just chase a young leopard around on foot. That's also not very fun, and then he'll definitely be even more scared of us. So maybe a little bit later, once he's settled down, maybe once the baboons have moved off, because remember, baboons can be threats to leopard, and then he'll settle down, come out, warm himself in the sun, and maybe give us an opportunity to have a look at him. So, well, that's the idea around it anyway. Remember, it's just starting to get light now. I was hoping we were going to get someone walking on the road, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get it just yet. But we're still going to take this road very, very quietly, very slowly, not racing off. Who knows, maybe wild dogs run in front of the car. That would be a real treat. Also like spending time with the wild dogs. It would be nice. But we know that this is a good spot for wild dogs, or leopard in fact. Particularly shadow and even mvula to some extent. Well, it's important to keep sort of scanning around. And as this vegetation has died down, it's amazing how many termite mounds there really are that we couldn't see before. And we know that leopards love to sit up in on top of termite mounds, but none sitting on them just yet. That's a termite mound. It's like a warthog with its bottom in the air. Whew. And like we said, it's so cold. I don't know if Tristan's feeling the same, but my fingers are freezing straight through my gloves. I'm going to have to get thicker ones. But let's go back across to him. I know he was driving round and round Vuyatela Dam. Maybe Tumba has popped out.
Well, I'm not going to lie, Taylor, I'm pretty cold myself. It is freezing along the banks of the Mulawati, so I'm using the spotlight as a heater on my legs at the moment. I have the spotlight on and I'm just holding it there because it, well, feels better than just cold legs, that's for sure. There is a serious wind chill this morning. Even though there isn't much wind, it's just driving like this feels quite nippy and cold out here, which is okay. It's the way it goes. It's part and parcel of being out in this area. Now, I'm just heading a lot further south, trying to just make sure that none of these leopards have gone far south. There's a few little francolins bumbling along the road, making a bit of noise. Why are you screeching? What's going on here? You all seem quite relaxed. Just check around and just make sure there isn't anything. We know that this has been a hot spot for leopards the last few days, as the Mulawati River bed, and they've been spending a lot of time in this area, so it's always worth just checking and making sure they're not lying somewhere. If I was a leopard though, I would be looking for the nearest termite mound with some sun on it, because I would definitely want to try and get a little bit warmer than what it is now. So if I was a leopard, that's where I would be, and I'm certainly going to go and check around where Taylor had Tumba. I tried to get hold of Taylor on the radio just to see where she actually saw whichever leopard it may be and where it ran to, so that I can go back into that area just now once I've checked along this section. But hopefully whichever leopard it is, it's going to find a nice sunny patch and we'll be able to find it ourselves. It would be certainly quite nice to have a leopard in a sunny spot, and that we can also sit in the sun and get warmer. Senzo, how are you in the back there? Because Senzo hates the cold. He's always very cold on the back. Are you cold this morning? Senzo has about 400 layers on at the moment, so he's definitely well prepared this morning. Big blankets, coats, all kinds of things, trying to stay nice and warm on the back there. Now, I believe Aubrey is trying to call me, so I'm going to try and just answer him. Go ahead, Aubrey. No, he's not talking to me back. I don't know why. Aubrey, go ahead. So it sounds like he's got tracks for Tingana that are already going into Torchwood. So just as well we didn't spend too much time following those tracks. Sounds like he went up towards Buffelshoek Dam and is already going eastwards from there. So it's a long way away from where we were, that's for sure. And we would have taken most of the morning to get round to that side. So glad I didn't follow those for too much longer. Alright, Twin Dams is quiet, no sign of any cats in this area. Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering if a female and a male leopard would share the same territory. Well, most certainly. When it comes to leopards, is that males want to encompass as many female territories as possible. So you'll find they'll push and push and push to try and get lots of female territories. So you'll find Thandi, let's say hypothetically Kuchava, Karula when she was around, Shadow, those all fitted into Tingana's territory. So they do share the same places, but a male's not concerned about a female. He wants more females than anything else. So he's not going to fight with her over territory. He will fight with the males, because obviously that's competition for him. And same with the females. The reason why Shongile and Thandi are fighting is because it's all about territory, it's all about dominance, and it's about securing a good area to be able to raise offspring and to successfully live, so to have food and water and all of these other things. And the reason that I think Thandi was so aggressive yesterday in her approach and why she came so quickly at Shongile is because she herself is forging into this area and into a place where she hasn't been dominant before. This is fairly new to her, roaming this section, and so she's trying to assert herself as much as possible to show everybody this is where I'm dominant. I'm also staking my claim here. So that's why I think she was a lot more aggressive about the whole situation. I've seen Thandi with other leopards before. She does sometimes get a little on the upset side, which is again blood from Karula. They always are feisty, the girls that come from that bloodline. So, and Shongile showed that last night, that she certainly also is not going to back down from a challenge when it comes to another leopard. So, but male, female, they really don't worry about each other. They, at the end of the day, females might get a bit annoyed by the males given their tendencies to steal food. Michael, you wondering whether Shongile fighting with Thandi is an indication she's establishing territory. Michael, I don't know. So I've obviously watched the footage again and kind of went through it, and in my mind, Shongile obviously is defending herself as best she can. So she was caught completely unawares. She tried to make a break for it to try get out of there, and Thandi just caught her, and that's why they ended up fighting. Once they're in that situation where she's fighting, the only way that she can look after herself is to be as aggressive as possible. She in no way tried to scent mark. She certainly wasn't salivating like Thandi was. Thandi started to salivate, which means that she's really trying to, now she's upset, she wants to assert herself. She was scent marking, so it's a little bit of a different situation with Shongile. I think she was just trying to really just preserve herself and keep Thandi at bay as much as possible, which is what she needed to do. In terms of whether or not that means she's now territorial is anyone's guess. Okay, now there's tracks in this riverbed going southwards. So there is female tracks here. We are in the Mulawati, which means gremlins are always a risk. So let's go across to Taylor, who's in some sunshine, and I'm sure she's loving it. It is freezing here in the Mulawati.
I don't know if we're quite driving around in the sunshine just yet, otherwise I'd probably be smiling from ear to ear. I can't do that at the moment because my face is frozen into one spot. It feels like, and this must feel like what it must feel like to have lots of Botox, I can imagine. I can't actually show you any expression right now. Everything feels so stiff in my face. My fingers Also freezing cold, but it's getting there. The tops of the trees are now just starting to warm up, so hopefully we're going to be able to start doing some birding shortly. They haven't quite woken up, barring the turtle doves and the franklins and spurfowls. Everything else is still laying low, but we've just turned onto the new road now, and I'm going to be searching for leopard tracks just because we know that this is a favorite spot of Shadow. Whether she's going to be around here, I'm not sure. I haven't heard if Shadow has been sighted over the last few days, and no one has mentioned anything. I haven't really seen too much on social media about her either. Now, Nature's Darling, you're wondering if there's an update on Shadow's foot. I can't give you one. I haven't even seen it yet, so I think it would be very silly of me to try and speculate as to what's gone on or try and give you a fake update. So I'm not going to give you one because I haven't seen her, and like I just said, no one has said anything about her being spotted. So until we see her again or somebody sees her, we can't really say much at all. Otherwise, that's how rumors start. We don't like rumors now, do we? So we will just leave it at that. What else is this? There's not even a leopard track. Like I said, I have not seen leopard tracks on this road, not even once. There were some guinea fowl, there were some thick-knee tracks, there's some impala up ahead, but no sign of a leopard just yet. Let's just check here also to see if there's any nice birds perhaps bouncing from tree to tree. At least all the bush willows have lost most of their foliage now, so when the birds are hopping around on them, it should be a little bit easier to spot them. Well, there's a couple of zebra here. Good morning, animals. They're all moving out from the shadows now and into the spots of sun. So, no shame, they look very fluffy. I'm just going to go up just a little bit further because there's the zebra and the impala on the right-hand side. It's okay. Everyone's very jumpy. Have you not realized that the wind is now died down and you can hear me coming from a far way off? Definitely not the McCurdy-hurdy. Oh, that's a big leaf you've got in your mouth there. Did you pick that up intentionally, or did you just try and nibble on the leaf and then it didn't work? So here we go. Here's a good example of not kudus, these are definitely not kudus, of zebras browsing. We don't normally see them browsing too much, but in the winter months they do tend to nibble on leaves here and there, and this one seems to be enjoying some monkey orange. I'm actually seeing a lot of animals feeding on the monkey orange now, because there's not too many plants that have got leaves on them, and the big trees that do have leaves on them, well, there's only a couple of animals that can feed from them. Oh, that was nasty. Shoo, did you see that? Very quickly, and they all looked very calm and relaxed. And that zebra at the back there obviously didn't like a fellow teammate getting in the way and launched into a bite to the hindquarter. That couldn't have been very nice, but I suppose zebra do have thicker skin than we do, so they might be used to something like that, or at least it wouldn't hurt as much as we think. Did you want all those monkey oranges for yourself? That's very selfish. But that zebra's got beautiful stripes on it, don't you think? Lovely dark markings. You can see the shadow stripe quite nicely also in that light. Megan, I am struggling to copy you. Can I please have all those messages that you just sent me again? So, Tess with a T. Megan's probably laughing now. That's how we establish between Tess, Jeff, and all these different names. You're saying that the zebras look so pretty. And they do, especially in this golden light. Even maybe the not so attractive animals would look sort of glorious. They're looking healthy though. Their manes are all standing upright. They don't look particularly thin. They've got lots of muscle on their shoulders, on their hindquarters, on their necks. So they obviously filled themselves up quite nicely during the summer months. Now, I do apologize. I think this is a bad comms spot. I don't know why, but when Megan talks, I can only hear every second word of hers or so, and then the comms disappear every now and then. So, Megan, I'm just giving you a heads up. There we go. Just the three of them. Oh, that's Stumpy there. That one's lost the hair to its tail. It hasn't actually affected the dock by the looks of it. You can see it's just actually lost the hair. So that's probably due to fighting. What you might find is, I think it is a stallion. It's hard to tell from here. It does look fairly stallion-like, and that's quite a typical thing to see, stallions that have lost their hair to their tails when they are fighting. That's normally the area that they go to, the nether regions, and sometimes you don't necessarily grab a part of the zebra, but you end up pulling the hair. But it's okay. It will grow back, but it will take a very, 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 very long time to get to the length that it was, and it's a valuable fly swatter. So what an inconvenience for the zebra. That actually wouldn't be particularly nice. Here's a better view. Yes, it does look like it is maybe a stallion. When we are obviously mainly not really here, it's not as common, but up in Kenya and even in Zambia and places where there are lots of crocodiles and the animals do have to cross rivers, it's not uncommon to see zebra with no tails. And I think we've actually had a sighting where a zebra managed to get away, but unfortunately it had to give its tail up. Almost like a lizard. Unfortunately, the zebra's tail's not going to grow back, though. But I suppose if you can just sacrifice an appendage like that, you probably won't die. I don't know, is it a stallion or is it a mare? Maybe it's a mare. It's a very big mare. I can't see very well. So difficult to tell the difference between them. No, maybe it's a mare. Maybe those are udders. If it is one, she's beautiful. She's a very stocky girl. Right, let's go around. Let's see what else. Impala obviously didn't seem to enjoy us too much. They've moved on well ahead of the zebra. We'll catch up to them now. Oh, it's warm. Now it's really nice when you stay still and in the sun. But this is a nice area. We're not near any drainage lines, so we should warm up quite quickly too. Let's go up a little bit further. Don't run from us, please. I don't know why everyone's so scared of the cars this morning. It's not even windy. Maybe they need a day or two just to relax after all that wind. Hi, zebra. I'm going to stop just a little bit up ahead. There we go. That's nice. Isn't this pretty? Now, Alicia, you're wondering if zebra stripes are black or brown. Well, in the case with the Burchell zebra, the species of zebra that we're looking at now, they've got sort of almost both, but typically the stripes are black, but in between the black and the white stripe, you can see there's a very faint sort of, it is also black, but sometimes it can look slightly brown, and that's the shadow stripe. But yeah, typically they are black. But they always have, it looks like it has been rolling around quite a bit in the dust though, because you can see its rear end is sort of a rustish color. And if you look at the one to the left, you'll see that it's a younger zebra too. The one on the left, it hasn't quite got that rust color coming through just yet. I suppose that's also a combination of rolling in the dust for a very, very, very long time, for many, many, many years. Eventually you start to take up the color of the earth. That one looks slightly cleaner. And you see it with the young foals as well. They're very white and their stripes are very dark and very black. And then they start to change a little bit. You can barely hear any birds even this morning. Might just be able to hear the faint call of the turtle dove. But everyone's got their heads down, grazing. The zebra don't seem to want to be left behind from the impala. The impala are leading up this group of animals. They're moving north. I wonder if they're not just on their way towards sort of impala plains. The closest water to these impala would be, well, the Red Dam is not particularly far in Arathusa. They could go there, but they're going in the wrong direction though. So I suppose, where are we? Treehouse Dam is not particularly far either, but again they're going the wrong way, so maybe they're going to head up towards maybe Vuyatela. Maybe they'll go up to Quarantine by this evening. That could be a spot that they get to. But there's no need to rush. On these hot days, they don't have to drink straight away. Start the day off, they can carry on for a little bit longer. Well, and speaking of Treehouse Dam, as we just mentioned, apparently Tristan has just arrived there.
We just came past, just in case either one of our royal cubs might have been lying here. We know they often do spend time at Treehouse Dam, so just wanted to check. Nothing at Twin Dams. Those female tracks that we had unfortunately go south towards Little Gowrie, so I would imagine those must be Tundi's tracks, but whether or not they fresh is anyone's guess, because I don't know where she walked the night before and yesterday. I don't know if anyone drove the Mulawati yesterday. We certainly didn't drive anywhere near there, so I'm not sure if those are from last night or the night before. Difficult when you're in sand, because obviously, like I say, the sand is soft and the tracks can stay for quite some time. But Treehouse Dam itself, there's not very much going on. There's a few Egyptian geese that are squeaking and making their noise as they do, and the odd bird around. There's a lapwing here and there, a couple canaries that are bouncing around as well, but that's about it at this stage. The canaries are notoriously difficult to actually get on camera because they move quite quickly and don't tend to sit for very long. But our Egyptian geese, well, they're much easier. They tend to sit right on the edge of the water and attract a lot of attention to themselves. You can hear the blacksmith lapwing in the background there as well. Is it a blacksmith lapwing or is it a wagtail? It's a wagtail. Ah, there we go. There's a pied wagtail at the back there. Is it a pied wagtail? What are you? Difficult to say. Where's my binoculars? I need to. Or is it a juvenile blacksmith lapwing? What are you? Let's have a look. I've got to make sure with the binos quickly. It looks like a juvenile blacksmith lapwing. Or is it? It's all puffed out, so difficult to see, but I think it is a juvenile lapwing. I'm going to try and just quickly have a look and make 100% sure. Sometimes in these cold weather when birds puff out, they can seem a little bit different, but I just want to make 100% sure. I think it is a juvenile lapwing. Yes, it is. So it's a juvenile lapwing, and there's our golden-breasted bunting. And comes a lapwing, a proper lapwing, a nice adult that is sitting in the sun. There's our golden-breasted bunting. You can see why it's called a golden-breasted bunting. Look at the nice deep gold color on its chest, and then they're easy to identify with that black and white crown that they get. And lots of birds will come down at this time of the day for a bit of a drink. It's a good time to be out, although I would imagine that water must be absolutely freezing at this stage of the game. So I think that's Mom and Dad that are busy moving around on the edge of the shore for our other little one that was on the other side. What else have you spotted there, Senzo? Did you see a bird go up there? Oh, there, they're coming down in little drips and drabs. I think it's the buntings that are coming down. Yeah, there we go, some of the females. Also there with the males. Nice, very, very nice. It's very peaceful here at Treehouse Dam this morning. It's a far cry from yesterday evening's finish, which was a bit chaotic. But I think let's head back towards that area. Now there's a bit of light and a bit of warmth. Hopefully there will be a leopard that will be out and about and actually moving around in this general vicinity, and that we'll be able to find it. So I think that's what our plan is going to be. And while we do that, Taylor McCurdy is also enjoying a bit of sunlight just like I am, and hopefully it will be a nice warm day after the cold 3 days we've had.
I feel as though the warmth is the only thing that we've got to look forward to at the moment. We might go through another quiet spell, and those are to be expected in the bush. It can't be full of excitement all the time unless you're in the Mara, of course. That's like the exception to the rule. But sometimes we get these quiet patches, and it actually happens more often than we think. I honestly suspect it's because the grazing isn't particularly good here on Djuma, so the animals don't want to hang around for too long. They sort of come here as an absolute last resort, and it's one of the reasons why we aren't seeing the buffalo, is because there's lots of nice, lush and nutritious food elsewhere, like down in the southern sands where all the big river systems are. I haven't seen it. There's not been a predator track around here. Oh, I suppose there's a civet track. Other than that, it's quiet. But maybe we'll go back, we'll do a quick drive around Vuyatela Dam, go have a look there, maybe see if anybody has come out. Maybe we'll go past Gallagher Pan again and see if that leopard that was hiding in that Tamboti thicket has relaxed slightly and maybe come out again. It'll also be a lot easier for us to see now because it's exceptionally light. We were working with the faded light a little bit earlier. Not that normally worries the cats too much, but we'll also check these big marula trees here and to see if anyone is laying up, keeping nice and warm. I'm surprised we don't see it more often. It was something that we used to see often in the south, first thing in the morning. We'd see the leopards up in the marula trees catching the rays of light. Here, I haven't yet ready to see that. Karula used to love the trees, of course, and then Shongile would often go up with her. Mosana, he used to try, but it was quite funny watching him. He wasn't the most agile of cats back in the day when he was still learning how to balance and all those things. He was quite clumsy. He'd often fall out, or he would try and climb the smallest tree and he'd always dangle on the most flimsy branches and then he'd fall out the tree. It was actually a game between him and Shongile. It used to be quite entertaining watching those two. I suppose now they're growing up and they're losing their childlike, well, obviously losing their childlike sort of charm now and becoming more and more adult-like, which is really exciting to watch. Tristan for Taylor. Tristan wants to talk to me apparently. Gallagher, shortcuts past the Pan, Mvubu Road, all the way towards Sydney's Dam, Triple M, and then I've jumped on the new road. Now I'm on Zoe's going back towards Vuyatela access to check Gallagher shortcut again. Yeah, Ephraim, you've moved towards the south, so I'm not going to check that area if you're around there. Cool. Here you go. Copy, you're welcome to follow up. Just let me know which areas you're working so we don't work the same spots. I'm just moving out of the area now just because Tristan was at Treehouse Dam, so there's no, in my opinion, there's no point us working exactly the same spot. So that's why I made a turn and didn't continue south because he was down there, and that's how he changed our route and I've come this way again. But I don't know, Tristan, I don't know where Tristan wants to work. Megan, I forgot Megan's family said Chantal. I forgot Chantal's gone on leave. Megan, you can tell Tristan he must just let me know which areas he'd like to work and then I'll move out of them. Like I said, I've just come back this way because he was in the south when I was going to the south. We'll have a quick look and see, but nothing. There's no wildebeest. Not that I've really checked quarantine just yet, those open plains, but there's nothing around here. Nothing in the marula trees, no hornbills. I actually thought I heard the southern ground hornbills singing their beautiful song very early this morning, but maybe I was mistaken. Perhaps I was hearing drums in my head. But that would have been really nice to, of course, have seen. I would have been to see those beautiful birds. I miss seeing them. I'm just, because it's so open, I'm scanning down to the south, and you can sort of see onto quarantine, and there's actually no sign of life. So I wonder if there wasn't an animal that perhaps, I don't know, if maybe a lion walked through there. Like I said, normally all the animals congregate to that area. It's so typical at night, especially on a windy day, so they have the best opportunity, and there isn't much of a moon at the moment, to see any predators coming towards them. But now there's no one even up there. Must have been a lion or something that came through. I did hear one lion call, and then that was really it. So it was relatively early in the night, and then it was just the hyenas that took over. I actually didn't even hear that leopard that was apparently, well, it must have been Tingana, that was soaring about last night. I didn't hear it at all, and I was up from about 12 o'clock and then didn't really get back to sleep, so I was surprised. I thought that this is going to be a good thing. I'm going to hear where all the animals are and it's going to be easy to find them in the morning. Well, wasn't I wrong? But we'll try again now. We haven't yet to even put a bird on screen. I'm being picky today though. It's going to be a good one, our first bird. But it seems as though Tristan's found one. Let's go take a look.
Well, we've got a beautiful ground scraper thrush that is just running around in the golden morning light, looking for all kinds of insects that could be in the grass. You'll find them running along, pecking about and trying to find food. And they have this beautiful spotted pattern on their tummies. That's what makes them very easy to identify. And they have a typical thrush run. When you see them on the ground, they'll run along and then they'll dart into an area and then pick something up. And that's how they maneuver. Now, I'm normally in pairs, so I wouldn't be surprised there is another one here somewhere along the line. In fact, in this particular area that we're in, I've seen them here quite regularly, and there normally is two of them, so I don't know where the other one is at the moment. Maybe running around on the short grass somewhere else. And they like areas like this. Anywhere where there's shorter grass that they can run around and still see what's going on is a preferred area for a ground scraper thrush. So nice to see. Very, very pretty bird, particularly in the morning when it's got that gold light on it. Wills, you say it's a beautiful bird as well? Well, it is, isn't it? The spotty little chest is very cool. And you can see now when it turns its back how well it actually camouflages. It just shows you that that white chest stands out, but if it turns, predators are going to be battling to see it with that drab back. So even from the air, all their coloration is more dark to blend in with the grass, whereas when they need to display to each other or to see each other, they've got that white chest to be able to show up. So it's clever patterning that they've got. Now, there is tracks here on Philemon's cut line, not for a leopard, but it looks like for a male lion. So I'm just trying to find if they were driven over or if they are old. Again, like I say, we went out yesterday morning, so it's difficult, and I didn't drive anywhere yesterday. As we know, I drove all of about, I would say, 1 kilometer to Gallagher Pan and back. So I'm not 100% sure as to what the movements have been. There was definitely a male lion that made quite a bit of noise last night, and this could be his tracks. The chances of him being here, though, are probably quite slim if we didn't hear him last night. But I'm just trying to see if these tracks have been driven over. Where I am now is not great surface for them, and I already drove here. I spotted them quite late, so it is my fault a little bit. But I'm going to check a little bit further forward to see where these tracks end up going and whether or not they're even worth following. Because if they're not... There we go. You can see them now on the road in front of me. So there in the tire track is a whole bunch of footprints. There they are. So that would be for the male lion walking in that direction. Obviously they have been driven over because of my tracks there. You can see my vehicle track is on the right hand side, and so this male lion looks like from last night. It certainly is in the middle of the tire track, and if anybody drove here yesterday afternoon, which I'm not sure if anyone did, they would have potentially driven over this. So might be worth just checking. I don't know though. We're so close to the southern boundary that the chances are this line probably went down towards Treehouse Dam, and from Treehouse Dam just crossed southwards. But we'll check just to make 100% sure. Definitely didn't walk there. And like I say, I was going to go towards where Gallagher is, but if Taylor's heading back there, then I'm just going to let her carry on and do her thing that side. I'm going to just meander about and see what else I can find. I'll go check a bit of the Mulawati again, see if there isn't any sign of a leopard down in the Mulawati area. We know that one went south, but I think that's the same tracks that I picked up going southwards towards Little Gowrie anyway. No sign of that lion walking here. I'll probably cut down towards Treehouse Dam. I'm just going to go around towards Shabamu Pan side and see if they didn't come out there. So Naomi, who's from South Africa, from Pretoria, our capital city. So hello Naomi, you want to know what these big bumps are in the road that we keep going over. Naomi, these are simply here to help with keeping the roads in good condition. So they're called a bolster, and what happens is when we get rain, water will follow the path of least resistance, and so it flows from the bush areas where it should be onto the road where it shouldn't be. And so when it's on the road, it then will flow down the slope, and it causes exactly like what you see here. So this is a perfect example. you see there's this eroded line that's going through the road, and that's because that bolster has not been built on the top side. So the water is coming and it's now furrowing across. So that bolster, basically what it does is it stops the water from gaining momentum. That's why they're every few meters on the road, and the water hits that and then goes off into what's called a mitre drain, which is on the side of the road, and the water then is absorbed by the bush. So it's a clever system to have, and one that you need out here, otherwise your roads end up looking horrible and it becomes a very, very bumpy ride along this area. Now, I believe Taylor's got a bird, so before I waffle on for too long, let's quickly go across to her.
I can sort of see it. It's a very cool bird. It's one that I've been talking about trying to find for quite some time. It's the Retz's helmet shrike. Now, if you go a little bit to the left, there you go. There it's just sitting. Hello, beautiful. Now there are a couple around of them bouncing about in this African wattle tree, which is quite a big one, which is quite cool to see. And they're very pretty birds. Well, actually, no, I don't think they're as pretty as the white-crested helmet shrike. Very nice to see, very short. Oh, there it is. It's bouncing right at the top. I wonder where the rest of them have gone, because there was a whole flock of them. I don't know if this one's just been left behind now. Perhaps it's convinced that it's going to find little insects that are sitting on this wattle tree. Or maybe it's also just taking a moment just to warm itself up after the chilly morning. And I know a lot of you laugh at Tristan and I, how we say that it's cold when, well, in some of the areas that you all live, you know, you get snow, and we don't even get snow here. There's one, there it goes. It's just flown off. There they go. Oh, they're just, now it's very difficult, unfortunately. They're just above us on the left of this marula. There we go, you've got them. Anyway, how many were there? I think there's still some sitting off because I can hear some chatter from the other tree. There must be about 5 of them. Only 3 flew to the marula though. But they're very cool little birds. I wish they would sing their beautiful song for us. They were very chatty when we first got here. And now they've gone a little bit on the shy side, I'm afraid. I'm also wondering if this leopard hasn't just walked into the Vuyatela camp. It wouldn't surprise me. As Tristan and I, we went to say hello to our friends who are at Gallagher. Very quickly, we ended up actually having dinner with them last night. And on our way back, there were leopard tracks over our footprints. And we only live about 50 meters from Gallagher camp. Oh, they're gone. I think they're just trying to catch the warmth, so they're going higher and higher up in the tree. So that leopard could have gone in there too. There's always a lot of antelope around and in and around camp, so it does draw a lot of predator activity. But again, this leopard's probably here, but there's so much tamboti. It doesn't matter, even if we find the cat, the chances of us being able to view it are relatively slim. It's impossible to get a car in there. So we'll have a last look. Maybe we'll quickly go and try and check the spot where all the commotion took place yesterday. And we'll have a look and see. I did see female leopard tracks coming away from here. I've seen male leopard tracks coming away from this area. So I don't know if everyone's still going to be around. Obviously, if there was a kill there, it would be a different story. Now, Michael, you're wondering if territorial boundaries would shift slightly because of the season. Most certainly. And the reason why they would shift, the main thing would be because of water. So perhaps their territory went over a dam that it was just a seasonal pan and holds water during the summer months, but then dried out. Then yes, they're going to have to change it. But that's quite common to have sort of water points where you have many different territories of various animals, not necessarily just the same species, overlapping. And then of course, wherever there's water, you'll find the game density will obviously increase. So if you're not in an area where there's any water, you might find it might be very difficult for you to find food if you are a predator. So I would say yes, that they do shift slightly. But I'm just trying to think. I mean, obviously it's difficult at the moment with everything that's gone on with Karula disappearing. It's opened up a huge spot, and now the leopards are really battling for, of course, a territory over here, which is a prime spot. I definitely think Tundi has proven herself worthy. Shadow obviously came in hot, but she seems to have backed off slightly. She also has got a young cub, so she needs to be careful. I reckon if Shadow didn't have a young cub at her side, her and Tundi probably would have boxed quite a few times. Now I see there's lots of vehicle tracks in here, so this is obviously where the sighting happened yesterday, but there's no sign of any cats here that I can see. But we'll go down and through here. I don't really feel like doing a lot of off-roading today. Can you believe that I actually just said that? Let's just check though. A couple of birds fluttering around. What have I caught? I think everyone was just going through here. It's not nice. Not the worst stuff that I've been through. So I'm looking. I'm searching for any sign of spotted cats, but Wendy does not seem to be cooperating at the moment, so I'm going to have to get out and kick her tires, and I'll send you across to Tristan so you don't have to witness me doing that.
Well, we can imagine just how much bundu bashing is going on. It's not exactly an easy area there, lots of thickets, so good luck, Taylor. I wish you all the best. Now, I do apologize if you see the camera rattle and shake and move. It's because we're on the southern boundary and, well, there's a little bit of a disturbance from the corrugations of the road. So every now and then there will be a bit of a bump and a rattle, but hopefully it won't be too much. We're going to try and, like I say, get into the Mulawati again and try and just work our way straight northwards. That mail line crossed south at Little Gowrie driveway, so it went into Little Gowrie and did not stay on our side, which is a bit of a shame, but it does happen. And like I said, I wasn't too confident on those anyway. The fact that those tracks, we didn't hear any line this morning when we got going would typically suggest that that guy crossed through quite early. I also heard him roaring about 10 o'clock last night, so the chances of him still being here was very slim at the end of the day. The thing is though, I don't know where all of our leopards have gone from yesterday afternoon, because there's no tracks that I can find crossing the southern boundary for Hosana, Shongile, nothing coming towards Treehouse Dam. So I wonder if they're not still somewhere that side. I'm sure they're in that area where Taylor is, and hopefully she will be able to find at least one of them. I'll go and check again, like I say, the Mulawati, just in case that leopard that went south is not this one that's crossed, well, the tracks that go south, and we might get lucky and find them again. Oh, this road is terrible sometimes. But what is nice is that there is actually a few birds around this morning. I think with the wind dying down quite a bit, there are a few that are lurking, like this beautiful starling in this light. It's just on our left hand side, just foraging on the fire break. So it looks potentially like a greater blue-eared starling. I can't see nicely just yet. Or is it a Birchall's? No, we've definitely got the big orange eye. No, it's Cape Glossy starling is that particular individual. You can see no blue ear covert when it turns its head, so Cape Glossy starling is the one. If you had a greater blue-eared, you would find that there's a big dark blue patch around the eye, and it's much darker than the rest of the feathers, whereas the Cape Glossy lacks that particular coloration. Just running through the grass looking for food. The coloration when the sun is out is just phenomenal. Now, it's obviously not actually that color. Those metallic sheens that you're getting is all to do with refraction of light through the prisms of the feathers and the various preening oils that then coat those feathers, and that's why we get this iridescence. So they don't actually have true blue and green pigments. It's just the way that the light hits them. And you find on grey overcast days we end up with birds that are drab in comparison. Now, Josh, you say such beautiful colors. They are incredible, aren't they? And in Kenya, there's a starling there, which, so Josh, if you like these guys, you must watch, and hopefully the guys will be able to show you a superb starling. Now, superb starling is got to be one of my favorite starlings. They are absolutely beautiful. Big orange chest, and then these iridescent blues and greens on the back. So they are a very pretty bird. And then my other favorite starling, which is one that should slowly but surely start arriving within the next month or two, will be the violet-backed starling. They are also exquisite birds. White chest with this iridescent violet back and head. It's really quite something to see those males in the morning sunshine or late afternoon. They look very pretty. So they should be back soon. And they have a call that sounds like a seesaw. So when you're swinging on a swing, and then it gets that like that's how it sounds when they're around. So we should be hearing that quite soon. Now, a lot of our migratory birds will be starting to arrive, and I want to wonder which one is going to be the first one. I'm sure we're going to start seeing some of them coming this way, but I would wonder which one's going to be first. I know some of the Wahlberg's eagles have started to turn south already, so it will be nice if they arrive. Just checking some tracks here, but nothing to be concerned about. Just an odd shape of a couple of the antelope's hooves together that's made look a little bit different. Thought maybe it might have been an aardvark track, but it wasn't. It's actually, I was talking about it, I think it was yesterday, no, not yesterday morning, because we went on drive yesterday morning, it was the morning before. We were talking about aardvark tracks and just how many there are around. It's pretty crazy. You can drive a lot of these roads and actually find their tracks going up and down, so they seem to be very active at night, and it would be amazing to actually spend some time with an aardvark. I would love to find like a burrow and just be able to sit there for long periods of time and try to see if we can't get a habituated aardvark sighting. Wouldn't that be quite something? Now, for those of you who don't know what an aardvark is, it's basically a big round animal with this long snout, big ears like a rabbit, and then this short stumpy tail, and is very sparsely covered with fur, or hair should I say, and they look very odd, but cool little animals, and they run around here at night sniffing out termites with a long tongue that they stick down the termite mounds and ant hills, and grab all kinds of little bits that they can, and all those kind of animals that live inside there. Her bundu bashing has given her more of a clue as to what's going on, and I'm sure she'll be able to give us an update shortly.
I'm trying to figure out what's actually going on here. I've got lots of footprints of various animals. I've got some male leopard tracks and female leopard tracks going up this way. So let's quickly sort of see if we can try and follow them. So I'm just looking on the ground. There's also loads of hyena tracks, there's civet tracks. But let's quickly go up towards Buffelshoek. Let's just see where these leopard tracks go to. They're on the side of the road. Make sure they don't cross over here. This is towards the hyena den. We'll come back to the hyena den a little bit. I just want to make sure if the leopards didn't go in there. No, it doesn't look like it. The tracks are still coming up here. I don't know whose footprints they belong to. Obviously, it's very difficult to decipher. It could be Thandi and Tamba, or it could be Hosana and Shongile. Sort of between the four of them, they've all roughly got the same size feet now. You know, Shongile was quite a dainty little leopard for quite some time, and it was easy to identify her tracks, but her feet will be exactly the same size as Thandi's now. Yeah, they're big. I don't know whose footprints these are, but they're rather large. Like, Sana's not small, you know, Tamba's got monster feet. Let's carry on. I just hope that these tracks don't maybe go all the way out and cross. So let me just call them in on the radio. Stations, I've got my daughter and Mfazi, Ingwe and Konzo going up Gallagher shortcut in the direction of Buffelshoek boundary. There's one following up. And they look alright. They don't look too old either. No, I've just got to check because now I've lost them. This is the hardest part again. We always talk about tracking is very easy to do when you're on foot. But as soon as you jump in the car, it's quite easy to, of course, miss the tracks. Okay, they're still going along here. I reckon it's probably from early this morning. Let's have a scan. So now we've got to focus on checking around us, because what can also happen when you're tracking is obviously you want to try and follow the footprints, but you've got your head glued to the ground. When you're in the car you can do that. When you're walking you don't want to have your head glued to your feet, otherwise you're going to walk into something that you don't want to bump into, especially at close quarters. But then you also want to be scanning around you, so it's very difficult to do. But I can still see that both sets of tracks are coming up this way. Just scan through. It's nice that it's fairly open, so we should be able to see something walking in the distance, well, theoretically anyways. Whether our eyes will be good enough to spot them, I'm not so sure. I feel as I'm much better at spotting birds than I am at spotting leopards. Okay, let me just see. Now there's a fork in the road. Which way are the leopard tracks going to go? Are you going to go straight down that way? No, they curve. And they're still coming this side. Just make triple sure. Okay, so they're still coming along here. Eh? An elephant? See, I'm looking for leopards now. Whereabouts is he? Is he quite far? Oh, there. Okay, I see the elephant. Let's quickly go check to the end of Buffelshoek boundary. If we don't find anything on this leopard, we'll come back to that elephant. Just because these tracks are relatively fresh, we're not far from the boundary. At least if those tracks cross out of our traverse, we can go, right, no more leopard searching for the day, and then we can come back this side. I mean, we know Tingana's gone into Torchwood. I can only imagine if this might be Hosana and Shongili, because I'm pretty sure it was Tumba that we saw earlier. So Tandi could be around that area somewhere. Yeah, they're still coming along here. Let's go and have a look. I don't think this would be Tingana's. There's a whole, I think there might be a whole herd of elephants in there. We just saw that one that was quite close to the road, but just down on that drainage line. I did see another one. So maybe by the time we get there it'll actually be quite nice. They all would have come out into the open. So I'm still just following these tracks. I don't have the female tracks anymore. I've just got this male set of tracks now. I lost them females tracks a little bit further back. Come on, leopard. Where are you? Just again, lots of hyena. Now there's loads of hyena footprints. But that's to be expected, especially on this road. Okay. There's a nice sandy sort of intersection where the fire break meets up with this road. And we should be able to have a look and see exactly what was going on. Yeah, still got the male leopard tracks. Now, we obviously see a lot of footprints on the road, which makes it easier for us. And John, you were wondering, why do the animals walk on the road? Well, because it's nice and open for them. Obviously, this time of the year, it's fairly easy for them to walk anywhere. On the game path, there's not a lot of overhanging trees, but they do like to use our roads. They often have their territorial patrols along our roads. I just want to see, now I don't have the male leopard tracks, I've just got hyena tracks, so I just want to quickly check here. Yeah, they go up and they come back down again. I have to check now, just to make 100% sure. Come along here. Obviously came up and then gone back down this way. I think we must follow them. Let's go down here. Ellies, I know you're my favourite animal in the whole wide world, but I'll come back to you. You might end up at Yellow Pan a little bit later. They're sort of feeding in that direction. Okay, let's go along with Firebreak. Now this is interesting. We know Mr. Mvula also likes it around here. So I wonder which male leopard we've got now. Could be another set of tracks, completely separate tracks from the ones that we had, because I lost them, but they could have just gone off the road. So we'll try and stay on these. Just want to just check here. I think there's male. Okay, we've got both male and female tracks again. Who's walking here? The mysteries. It's very difficult to try and solve these mysteries sometimes, just because we've had so many leopard walking around here. It could honestly be anyone. Okay, I've still got them. Just want to see if they go down here or where they continue. There. Still going. Did you go up there or did you carry on? See, now the ground is starting to get a little bit harder. Okay, no, here they are. They're still going. And those are the females. Ooh, maybe we're going to get lucky. Maybe we're going to find someone here. The all breeze. Maybe even just on this fire break. I'm just driving half off of the road at the moment because I don't want to squash the tracks in case I need to come back. In case I lose them and I need to go to the last ones and have a look again. So far going straight down the road. Now, an interesting question from Brian, and that is, what is the long road do we have on the property? I haven't actually got a clue. Well, you see, this car doesn't even sort of count the kilometers. Well, it did at one point in its life. This car did count the kilometers. It had an odometer, but it's not working anymore. So I'm not sure exactly what the longest road would be, but fairly lengthy. You probably find the boundary roads would be the longest. So Triple M's fairly long, Gowrie, Main, Buffelshoek boundary. They all extend well off of our traverse as well in the areas that we can't necessarily drive. So they're definitely quite long. Good couple of kilometers. See, now we're coming close to Sydney's Dam, and this is to me, this is Mvula's spot. He loves it around here. It's not uncommon to find him in these areas. Let's just make sure we've still got the footprints. Yes, we do, but on the other side of the road. Here they are. Female ones have gone again, but they sort of come on and off constantly. Okay, we're going to just keep following him till these, hopefully we can figure out exactly where this leopard goes. If this male leopard goes towards Sydney's Dam, then I'm going to say that it's Mvula that's been walking around here, and he must have come in from Buffelshoek. Again, remember Tristan was saying you could hear lots of bushbuck and things alarming while he was in that sighting. So Mvula could have been hanging around in the distance. Maybe he had an altercation as well. You know, these poor cats. It sounds like they've had a very sort of stressful day. See, now the ground is very hard. Don't do this to me, ground. Please stay nice and soft so we can figure out where this cat has gone. And that's what I need. I really need soft sand when you're driving and trying to track. Lauren, I'm glad you think I'm proficient in tracking, but that's I don't necessarily think so. But you're wondering how long it took me to get proficient in tracking. You never stop improving when it comes to learning how to track. It's one of the in my opinion, it's actually the hardest thing to do. So not necessarily identifying the tracks, but trailing the animal and finding it in the end. It's one of the most rewarding things to do in the world, but like I said, it's one of the toughest things that any guide has ever had to do. Some guides are better at it than others. Again, it's hard to track when you're in a car. The chances of you finding that animal while you're driving around is a lot sort of slimmer than what it would be if you were on foot tracking that animal. You'd have a better success rate. And that's why bushwalk is so valuable. Now I don't have these tracks, but that section of the road got particularly hard, so I need to figure out if this cat has gone west or if it's gone north. I just want to check up a little bit further ahead to see if maybe it wasn't doing what the female was doing, just sort of veering off, maybe finding a shrub that it normally marks, marking up against it and then coming back onto the road. That could also happen. but it doesn't look like it's happened here. And we didn't see any tracks this side. Now I'm going to go back. And hope that I don't drive over the last track now. See, again, could have just cut through and gone that way. Let's jump on this side of the road though. I'll have a look here. So we'll keep scratching around here. I might have to jump out now just to figure out exactly where the last footprint is and what direction it's gone. That will determine what we do next. Tristan's been in the Mulwati. He's also been off of the car. Perhaps he's got an interesting story to tell you.
Well, we've found tracks for a female leopard that are quite fresh. I was looking and they're on top of everything from the night. So I think she walked here at some point. I wonder if it's not the same tracks that go all the way south and then she turned and now she's coming back. Could potentially be for Thandi trying to find Tumba. You never know. You never know. Maybe they've separated and now she's just roaming the Mulawati trying to look for him. But I lost the tracks going up towards Chelapan, so I'm just driving now in the Mulawati going northwards, checking she didn't come back down here, and then I'll go back towards Chelapan now and just cut off this area. If I don't find her tracks coming out, I know that she must still be somewhere inside this side, which is a very small, very tiny little block. So if that's the case, then we should be able to find her fairly quickly.